Arcadian Vanguard presents The Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Friday, February 2nd, 2024. Good morning, I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with more on former WWE employee Janelle Grant's lawsuit against Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis. Laurinaitis yesterday denied the charges made against him by Grant, which include sexual assault. The former head of WWE Talent Relations issued a statement to Vice through his attorney, Edward Brennan, in which Brennan supported some of Grant's claims while disputing Laurinaitis' role in them. Stated Brennan, quote, Mr. Laurinaitis denies the allegations in the misguided complaint and will be vigorously defending these charges in court, not the media. Like the plaintiff, Mr. Laurinaitis is a victim in this case, not a predator. The truth will come out, end quote. Shawn Michaels also addressed the lawsuit yesterday while being questioned during a media call for NXT Vengeance Day.
But it's an incredibly sad situation. As everybody knows, I have very little, absolutely nothing to do, and gladly so, with the corporate stuff that goes on. We try to focus here in NXT on the young men and women that come through these doors. And we do. I think we foster a safe and supportive atmosphere down here. I know that they reinstalled and upgraded. I think in 2022, some of those regulations and whatnot. But look, we're always conscious of that. And one thing that I do, it's incredibly important to support the talent and give them a safe working environment. I like to think we do that, absolutely. But look, we will always continue to try to be better about that. And I'm very glad to say that I think we do a really fantastic job down here.
During the call, Michaels also responded to a question regarding claims originally made by Brutus Beefcake in a 2013 kayfabe commentary shoot interview that he and his Rockers tag team partner Marty Jannetty were known to drug and sexually assault women during their time together in the WWF of the late 80s and early 90s.
I will say this, as I've never, shied away from the stupid stuff I did in the past. If you go back and ask Brutus Beefcake, he'll tell you, one, never seen any of that actually happen. Again, wrestling stories. He's also retracted it after saying it. I can say this, I've had a lot of struggles in my life, and I don't know how to say this without it sounding, shameful, but being with a lady was not something Shawn Michaels had a difficult time doing. I've never been in a situation where it was not consensual or any way, shape, or form. I've never taken advantage of someone in that respect. Those things are done for two reasons, and I've had a lot of counseling in my lifetime. And and the reason you do that stuff is because you dislike women or you have power issues. Shawn Michaels did not have those. He had insecurity issues, and he had problems feeling like he wasn't enough. That's why you go to drugs and downers. The other stuff is built on power and disrespect for women, which is something I've never had. So any accusations against me as far as non-consensual time with a woman simply is not true. And that's why they've never come up in anything other than, and I don't mean it to be mean to you guys, but it's never come up in anything other than wrestling stories. I don't know what to say. Back in the day, it was dirt sheets. And those things start from guys spinning a lot of stories that were not true.
Brock Lesnar is being pulled from video games created by 2K due to being implicated in the lawsuit filed by Janelle Grant last week against Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and WWE. First reported on Thursday by PW Insider, Lesnar's content was pulled from the digital collectible game WWE Supercard, and the wrestler would be, quote, downplayed as much as possible going forward by 2K and potentially other licensees, end quote. The WWE 2K24 console game, also published by 2K, is scheduled to be released on March 8th. Lesnar was reportedly scheduled to return during last Sunday's Royal Rumble event, but was pulled from the show and replaced by Braun Breaker. Ring of Honor streamed last night on Honor Club, featuring matches taped last Saturday at the Brookshire Grocery Arena in Bossier City, Louisiana. In the main event, Lee Johnson won a four-corner survival match against Alex Zane, Blake Christian, and Jack Cartwheel. In a four-corner women's survival match held earlier, Red Velvet defeated Diamante, Kira Hogan, and Trish Adora. The undisputed team of Matt Taven and Mike Bennett made their second defense of the ROH World Tag Team title, beating Fred Rosser and Filthy Tom Lawler. In other selected results, The Righteous defeated The Infantry, Bad Dude Tito beat Gringo Loco, and Ethan Page beat Slim J. TNA Impact was presented last night on Access TV, featuring matches taped January 19th at the Osceola Heritage Park in Kissimmee, Florida. In the main event, the Grizzled Young Veterans defeated TNA World Tag Team Champions Ace Austin and Chris Bay in the first match of a best-of-3 series for the title.
And now, grit your teeth by the Grizzled Young Vets!
Bay, nowhere to be found!
Gibson and Drake win match 1!
Here are your winners, Grizzled Young Vets!
The key, the important, the clutch match in this series, in my opinion, has just been slotted into the corner of the Grizzled Young Veterans. Now the ABC are locked in a corner, Tom.
In the opening match, Nick Nemeth defeated Trey Miguel. After the match, Nemeth was attacked by Steve Macklin and the Rascals.
He's going to have to fight for. Wait a minute! Oh, and Steve Macklin emerging from the tunnel and assaults Nemeth from behind.
As if he wasn't clear enough before, Macklin making an emphatic message even more clear.
And Nemeth just got done with a hard-fought matchup against Miguel. Macklin is pummeling Nemeth. Meanwhile, Zachary Wentz has come down to the impact zone, is in the ring now with Miguel.
In other selected results, Masha Slamovich defeated Jody Threat, Brian Myers topped Kevin Knight, and PCO defeated Diener. Khan ran in and laid out both PCO and Diener after the match. In injury news, NXT's Danny Palmer revealed on social media yesterday that she is undergoing double hip surgery. Palmer reported that she received the first surgery yesterday morning, with the second coming later this year. Palmer has been with NXT since 2022 and last competed on a January 6 NXT house show. And in ratings news, Wednesday's edition of AEW Dynamite brought in an audience of 818,000 viewers to TBS, according to WrestleNomics. That total is down a little over 2% from last week's audience of 837,000 and is the lowest the show has notched since January 10th. In the key 18 to 49-year-old demographic, the rating was a .26, which was also down from last week's .29. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the Wrestling News across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the Wrestling News. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.